Hi, everyone. I hope you're ready for another great week. This week, we're going to be talking through lessons 125 to 128. So let's get started. This week, you're going to need your lessons manual, the student worksheet book, the math card games manual with the game cards, the drawing board. You'll need tangrams. You'll need the T square. You'll need the 45 triangle. You'll need a ruler. You will also need colored pencils or markers. Those materials are not included in the Right Start Math set. You'll need the 30-60 triangle, and you'll also need the colored tiles. This week, your child is going to continue to work on geometry concepts and then also use geometry to review fractions. Let's get started by turning to lesson 125. Now, if your lesson manual was printed in 2016 or before, there is a correction for this lesson. So make sure you make those changes prior to teaching this lesson. For the warm-up, you're going to have your child, you're going to ask your child some geometry questions, and then you're going to give your child worksheet 102. You will also need to give them the T-square, the 45 triangle, and the ruler. Now, in the past, you've used the 30-60 triangle. Remember the 30-60 triangle. The 30-60 triangle has an angle that has 30 degrees here, 60 degrees there, and then 90 degrees, or the right angle. For the 45 triangle, that's what this one is. And the 45 triangle has 45 degrees here, 45 degrees there, and then the 90 degrees. So this is your 45 triangle. You're going to have your child follow the directions on the worksheet and draw the figures as requested on their own if possible. Let me show you how to draw one of the more complex figures for this worksheet. So this is worksheet 102, and I'm going to go ahead and work through problem 3. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 45 triangle, and I'm going to draw my corner lines, or my line through the middle. So I'm going to one direction and then the other direction from corner to corner. And that will give me these two lines here. From here, I can find my center point, because I'm going to line this up with my center point of the square. I'm going to make a little tick mark up here on top. Now I have the top part of my square that's going to go in there. So I'm just going to line up my T-square from this point and my 45 triangle from this point, and I'm going to draw this line. I'm going to flip it over. And then I'm going to do the bottom portion by flipping it over this way. Okay, so now I've made the square inside. Now I need to make the other square. And I'm going to do that by moving my T-square. We're going to draw this line here. So I'm going to connect this and this. I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. And then I'm going to do the horizontal lines. And there you go. Now, if you need further help on how to draw any of these other shapes, just give us a call or email us. The suggested math card game for this lesson is Multiples Solitaire Game, which you have played previously. Also, if your child is still learning their multiplication math facts, you're going to want to play a second math card game based on multiplication to keep working on those. We want to get our child, you want to get your child having those down as much as possible. But let's go ahead and turn to lesson 126. Again, for the worksheet or for the warm up, you're going to ask your child different questions about geometry concepts. And then you're going to give them worksheet 103. You're going to give them the T-square, again, the 45 triangle. And then they are going to use those drawing tools to draw the various shapes onto the circles as requested from the worksheet. On their own again, if possible. Let me walk you through one of these problems. For worksheet 103, I'm going to work through this particular problem, the second one in a row, the second one in the first row. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my my vertical line through the center of my circle. And then I'm going to draw my diagonal lines through the circle. This will be using your 45 triangle. And then I have a horizontal line I need to draw through here. Once I've done that, then I'm ready to draw the square. So I am going to basically connect this, this line to this line and do the same thing over on this side. And then I'm going to do my horizontal lines. On the bottom and on the top. And there you go. Again, if you struggle with any of these other figures, just give us a call or email us. We'll be happy to walk you through it. Now, the second or the suggested math card game for this lesson is Ring Around the Products, which we do have a blog for, and you also have played it previously. Again, if your child is still working on their multiplication math facts, play another math card game to help work on getting those down. Well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 127. The warm-up is going to have you ask your child some more geometry questions. In the section called Congruent Tangrams, you're going to give your child the tangram pieces. That's these right here. There's 7 of them in each color. And then you're going to discuss with them the term congruent. Now, if you look in the middle of the first page of the lesson, it says 2 figures are congruent if they fit exactly on top of one another. So if you have 2 shapes, like the little triangle and the medium triangle, you can put those together and you can see that these are not congruent. Whoops, these are not congruent because it does not fit exactly on top of each other. Now, they do look like they are the same shape, but they are not the same size. So when I overlap them, you can see one is bigger than the other. So these are not congruent. But if I have 2 small triangles and I stack one on top of the other, those are congruent because they layer in on top of each other without any overlap. Now, they are still congruent even if I move one this direction or this direction. It doesn't matter the direction they're facing as long as they are the same size. Now, the bottom of the first page of the lesson is having your child use the 2 small triangles to make a shape that is congruent to the parallelogram and then again to the square. So they're going to move these around so that they make a shape that is congruent to the one that they're looking for. So in this case, the square. They're moving these 2 small triangles around so they make a shape that's congruent to that square. Then you're going to give your child worksheet 104 and have them complete it on their own if possible. Now notice your child is going to need to use both the 45 triangle and the 30/60 triangle. They will also be marking fractions in one of the figures. You will see the solutions in the lesson manual. The suggested math card game for this lesson is multiplication card speed. And we do have a blog for that game, and it is called Winter Games Multiplication Card Speed. Also, if your child is still working on their multiplication math facts, play another game to help get those multiplication math facts down. Well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 128. For the warm-up, you're going to be asking questions about fractions using time and money. Now take a look at the section called Completing the Whole with Tiles. You're going to place 2 colored tiles in front of your child and say that this is 1/2 of a figure. And then you're going to ask them to complete the figure. Now there are 2 possible solutions for this problem. So you can see those solutions in the lesson manual. They can treat this like a row, or they can treat it like a square. You will then place 3 tiles in front of them, and you will say that this is 3/5 of a figure, and then have them complete the whole. Now, again, the answer is in the lesson manual. Now, if your child is struggling with this, you may want to say something like, if you have 3/5, how many is in the whole amount? 5, remember, because we were working on division. 3/5, 5 is the entire amount. So 5/5 is a whole, right? So 3/5, so how much is in the whole? 5. So how many tiles do we need all together to make this figure? They will need a total of 5 tiles. They already have 3, so how many they're going to need? How many more are they going to need? They're going to need 2 more. All right, we'll take a look at the top of the second page of the lesson under the section Completing the Whole with Tangrams. In this section, we're going to use that same idea, but we're going to use it with using tangrams. You're going to show your child the small triangle and then tell them that this is half of a shape, and then you will have them complete the shape. So if that's half, then I put another one together, and it can look like this, it can look like this, or it can look like, where's the other one? This. So there's several different ways they can put it together. The answers are listed in the lesson manual. You're going to do the same thing for the next section, where it shows you the square and tells your child that this is 2/3 of a shape. Now this one is a little more tricky, and it kind of stumped a couple of my kids. Some kids, just let them play with it for a little bit to see if they can get it. If your child is really, really, really struggling with this, though, go ahead and put the 2 small triangles on top of this, so they can see that this square can be divided in half, and then they can see, oh, 2/3, so I need 1 more of these. It gives them a different look. Then you're going to give your child worksheet 105 and have them complete it on their own if possible. The lesson manual shows you some of the solutions, but there are other solutions possible. Just double check and make sure your child is doing the problems correctly. The suggested math card game for this lesson is multiplication card speed again. As always, if your child is still working on their multiplication math facts, play another game as well. Well, that's it for the week. If you have any other questions or concerns about a lesson, or if your child is struggling with something, give us a call or email us. We are here to help. I look forward to seeing you next week as we cover lessons 129 to 132. Have a great week, everybody.